nurses out there.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. And my luggage did not come in.
Where's your trash?
I have my trash suit on, I'm sorry. But I'm comfortable, okay?
And it's going to be a workout out here, I tell you.
Yeah.
Now, if you guys want to give Terry one round of applause, he is celebrating his 40th year.
We got to find this presentation. Hold on one second.
All right, Terry's going to take over.
Well, wait a minute.
All right.
I can defibrillate quicker than I can work this kind of thing.
The good news is if anybody has a cardiac arrest, we're in a good place for it. So, yeah.
Hold on just a second.
But he still came even though he lost his luggage. And
Well,
here's a whole wet car.
excuse me, I didn't lose my luggage. The airline lost my luggage.
What airline was that, Terry?
Well, it's one that's been in the news a lot. What?
They drag you down the aisle, beat it up.
Yes, they probably did. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, I know, folks, I am all that is between you and the cocktail hour, okay? So I get that. And I'm sorry that this is in reverse, because if you were drinking, I am a whole lot better looking, okay? And I'm funnier and thinner, all right? So let me just tell you that. But anyway, you've had a lot of heavy topics today and a lot of discussion, a lot of political things. Obviously, that's the nature of the conference. There is no educational value to this part of the lectures today at all right? So I'm going to talk to you about how can you lay for that, sorry, I'm jumping ahead, a closer look at the use of nursing humor. So this is where I work at. Wait a minute, if this is working. Maybe I have to turn it on. Oh, I'll just stand here. Okay. So anyway, where I work at is St. Elizabeth in northern Kentucky. We are a 6-hospital system. And as she said, I've been a nurse for 40 years this year. I cannot believe it. I graduated in 1977, and I'm starting on my 40th year. At my hospital, I've been there that entire time. I actually started out as a ward clerk, if any of you remember what a ward clerk was. And then when I applied for my new grad job, I remember interviewing with the director of nursing, and she and I smoked during the entire interview, okay? And thought nothing of it whatsoever, all right? We are a magnet facility, which we're very proud of. But this is a picture of me, and this is how long I've been doing this, all right? That's a picture of me. I was about 16 years old. And for those in the room under the age of 40, the object I'm holding in my right hand is a glass thermometer, okay? It didn't go in your ear or on your forehead. And we used to have to shake them down before we used them. And sometimes you'd shake them down and accidentally hit them on the side rail. And if it spilled the mercury, we would just wipe the mercury out with a paper towel and put it in the garbage for the maid to get the next day, or flush it down the toilet, okay, which is real safe. Sometimes we used to also take it back to, I went to a hospital diploma school of nursing. We would take the mercury back to the dorm and roll it around on the tables and desks in our dorm and play with it. That may be a reason why my urine still glows in the dark today, okay? It's just a thought. My daughter actually saw this picture recently, and she goes, Dad, I hate to tell you this, but you had Donald Trump hair, okay? And I did before Donald Trump had it, all right? So I want to tell you about a couple people who I work with. This is one of our new graduate nurses, and she's on her way to kind of figuring out how to be a nurse. I never felt like the old guy at work until something happened a few years ago to where I sort of thought, you know what? There's two different generations in the nursing profession here. I was working an old-fashioned evening shift. They had somebody was to work 11 to 11, 11 A to 11 P to help orient these two new grads, and we could only get it covered from 11 to 3 p.m. And nobody else nobody else was available to orient these other two new grads. And I I said, yeah, and I usually don't get to work weekends anymore. I certainly work my share in holidays. And I said, you know what, I can work at like an old-fashioned 3 to 11. So I went and worked both new grads. I'm in the ER. I had 4 patients apiece. They were doing pretty well in their orientation. And about 6 p.m., we got a lady in who's 40 years old who had a syncopal episode at one of our Catholic churches in the area. She said she was standing in line. She didn't know what happened. She started getting real weak and dizzy, and she fainted. And her husband was with her, came in with her. She came in by squad. Her son and daughter, who were like 17 and 18. And then actually a nurse came in with her who knew her, came to her aid, and she said, you know, she went to her and she didn't lose a pulse, she didn't quit breathing, and she didn't seize or anything, but she was out for like a minute or two. So a 40-year-old loss of consciousness, you know, you're thinking, is that something neuro? So we CT'd her right away from the squad stretcher. We're a certified stroke center and all that stuff. So we get that done. We get her in room 8, and we're checking labs. We did a 12-lead EKG because women have unique presentations of heart disease, you know, and that's normal. We drew labs. Her pressure was about 104/60. Her heart rate was like 110. So we thought maybe she's dry. We'll give her some fluids. Didn't really know what was going on and stuff, and drew her labs. So about an hour later, I'm sitting at the computers looking up to the lab work, and then 2 new grads are sitting to the left of me. And as I'm looking up, I went, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And they said, what? I said, somebody's going to have to tell this lady in bed 8 that her rabbit died. Okay, now wait a minute though. I want you to look around the room and see who knows what I'm talking about and who doesn't. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. Okay, good. All right. Do you know what I'm talking about on the end here? Do you? Lisa, okay, how about you? Do you know what I'm talking about? How about you? Neither? Okay, I don't want to embarrass you, but what are your names and where do you work? Okay. But it's okay. It meant that she was pregnant, okay? So anyway, so I said, I looked at the lab report and I said, somebody's got to tell this lady in bed 8 that her rabbit died. The 2 new nurses sitting to the left of me, they said, oh, her rabbit died? They said she didn't say anything about her rabbit being sick, and we were in there when you were in there. And I looked at them, I go, no, the rabbit died. And they go, what rabbit? And I'm realizing I got a freaking communication breakdown here. I said, you guys, she's pregnant. And they go, oh, great, that's exciting. I'm like, oh, heck no. 40 years old, and she's got a 17-year-old and an 18-year-old who tonight are going to realize their parents at age 40 are still doing it. Like, probably doing it in the house. Like, when we go back to tell her she's pregnant, we're taking the crash cart with us. That's what we're going to do. And the one said, well, what about her rabbit dying? We didn't move on, did we? I said there used to be a test they did, and they took the mother's urine and they injected it into a rabbit, and if the rabbit died, the woman was pregnant. And they both go, shut up. And I looked at both of them and I said, way. Because I'm so cool in my 50s, you know. And the one was like, well, I'm surprised PETA did not oppose this. I was like, I don't think PETA was around. I don't know, hurt animals, but I don't think they heard of PETA. And then the other one, she's like Googling it on her phone to make sure that, you know, I'm telling the truth and stuff. Even the doctor working on duty did not know what I was talking about. They'd never heard of that before. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just giving you 2 a hard time. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's a generational difference. I don't know, like maybe 5 years ago, was it, that Dick Clark died? And I was in a patient room and they announced that Dick Clark died. I walked out in the nurse's station. I said, hey, you guys, I just heard Dick Clark died. And they go, was he a patient of ours here? Do y'all know who Dick Clark is? No, they don't know who Dick Clark is. okay. It's okay. It really is. We're jealous, actually. Okay? You know what I would say he would be like? Ryan Seacrest 40 years ago. Okay? Like on every show and everything, stuff like that. Okay, but I digress. So anyway, I love my new grads. They give me job security, let me tell you. If you know, there's something to be said. No, I mean that in a nice way. There's something to be said for them. So this is one of our new nurses. This is one of our new nurses and 3 of our doctors. Okay? I don't know if you know these doctors or not, but in every facility there's one with no brains, one with no heart, and one with no courage. Right? Sounds familiar, all right? And then this is our nurse administrator, okay? And a lot of people say she wears real pretty clothes and lives in a bubble, okay? But in her defense, she is expected to wave that wand and make everything all better. And she also finds herself having to say every day, Dorothy, you're not in Kansas anymore. That sounds familiar. And we recently went through a joint commission survey. And that was ever so lovely. So anyway, I love to do these types of talks. As a matter of fact, when she emailed me and she said, you know, would you do this talk and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I would be happy to come up here. It's absolutely something I love to do because I love to talk to nurses. Absolutely, it's my most favorite group to talk to. Because what kind of humor do nurses have? Huh? Yeah. Wait a minute, don't get ahead, please. Okay? It is sit, warp, and twist. All right? Oh, I think the bar was already open. Have you happened to have noticed that we laugh out loud at things that normal people do not find funny, okay? And I have to tell you a story with my in-laws where I figured this out. My wife was a nurse and she was working her day shift. I worked my day shift. This is when we were doing 8 hours. We met at my in-laws for a cookout. And I was telling my wife this story in front of my in-laws who have no medical background. This was years and years ago. And so anyway, what happened was I was at the triage desk. It was Sunday about 12:30. A car pulls up under the ER canopy. A tall, heavy-set lady gets out of the car and comes walking in, sets a big pocketbook down on the desk. I said, can I help you? And she said, yeah, I don't know if you got a nurse or a doctor that could come out to the car or a paramedic or somebody. I don't know for sure, but my husband, we were out driving by your other hospital. I think I was pretty close to it, but I couldn't figure out how to get to that hospital. So I thought, I'll just come down to this hospital because I knew how to get down to this hospital. And I don't know if you got a nurse or a doctor that could come down, but I thought I'd come down because I grew up over here. 3 blocks over by St. Ben's Church. I was married over there too. And I had all my babies here and everything. And I don't know if you got a nurse or a doctor. I don't know for sure if somebody can come out to the car, but I don't know for sure or not, but I think maybe my husband might be dead. True story. True story. And like where I work at, dead is a key word. Okay? Response, okay? So, and as she's talking, you know how patients will circle the damn airport before they land the plane an hour later? So I'm kind of tuning her out, and then she said, dead. And I jump up, I said, I need some help outside, and go running out. She is now talking to the registration clerk, telling a story about where they met, and all this kind of stuff. I go out, it's his ghost. What was that? That was creepy. Okay. Let me get my rosary out of my briefcase. Okay. So anyway, I open the passenger door. There's a little lady sitting on the front seat of the car with a dog that about tore me up, and he's like growling and trying to bite, and she's like, he won't hurt you. I'm trying to get her out of the way. I see like a grown kid get out the other side of the car, and then halfway on the floorboard of the car in the seats, face down is a man about 65 years old who weighs about 250 pounds. He is purple, he is not breathing, he has no pulse, and in Kentucky, these are bad signs. Okay? And so I know help is coming, I'm trying to move him, I cannot move him, I can't roll him over. And so I thought, you know what, I'll raise his forehead up to like open his airway, because that's gonna help him. And so I did that, and then I knew help was coming, and then I didn't know when they were gonna get there. And so when you're a nurse, you think about things really fast, and you think the heart is, when you do CPR is when you compress the heart between the sternum and the vertebrae. And I'm like, you know what, I wonder if that works, because it does increase in the thoracic pressure. And I'm like, you know what the hell, you know? I mean, I can't hurt him, so I started doing compressions to his back. I just started doing compressions. And people were because it made me feel better. Okay? People are running out and they're getting this and getting that and they're looking, and I'm like, come on, just keep, come on, just keep on. And so they brought out our old stretcher. I don't know why they grabbed this old stretcher. It doesn't work right. We usually put coats on this stretcher a lot of times. Or if people bring in food for a party, we put food out on that stretcher and stuff, you know. And they grabbed that one. It's got a bent IV pole. So anyway, so we got the stretcher out there. And so we got 3 or 4 people, 4 or 5 people. And finally, on the count of 3, we're going to grab an arm and a leg and everything. So 1, 2, 3. So we grabbed him. And I don't know if we had a surge of adrenaline, but we threw him onto and over the other side. One of our little Asian nursing assistants was standing on the other side. Probably not a good team placement assignment at the time. And we saw Gloria, and then we didn't see Gloria. Okay? This was like a solar eclipse, all right? And we went all the way over on the other side on top of Gloria. And you have to remember, this is outside our emergency room, so it's all being witnessed by all of our smokers. Nobody puts their damn cigarette down to help. Or their Mountain Dew or pork rinds either. Because they've got abdominal pain, all right? You don't know what to say sometimes, and so you just say stuff, and I just yelled out, well, that modified precordial thump didn't work. I said that out loud. Like, that was like a nurse voice from somewhere. We're getting back up on the stretcher, and we're going into the ER, and we get into trauma 1, and we're coding, and things are actually moving, events are moving quickly, we're doing compressions, we got a board under him, we're bagging him, getting him on the monitor, somebody's getting a line in him, and we're pumping the stretcher up. And the stretcher had been down low to get him out of the car. And remember, I said the stretcher had this bent IV pole, so somebody's pumping the stretcher up, pump it up, and everything. And just as the doctor's ready to intubate this guy, the IV pole goes through the overbed light. Have you ever done that before? You raise the bed up with the IV pole and it pops it? Or have you ever put a hospital bed down like on a garbage can or a suitcase and it pops? It's like, what the heck is that? This stuff, I didn't hear anything, you know? So anyway, the doctor, just as the doctor is getting ready to intubate this guy, all of a sudden the IV pole goes through the overbed light and pop, plexiglass just shatters all over the room, all over the doctor, all over the patient, the floor. We're like crunching on it and everything like that. The doctor, without taking his eyes off of the cords, he says, there's glass in my hair, down my back, and down my ass. So we were like, we can help you with the first 2. So anyway, so after this glass pop, we're crunching around trying to still code this guy. Joan, who's a nurse, been a nurse here for a long time, who was out in the car with me when the guy went over the other side of the stretcher, and then is in the room when the light pops. Joan, an experienced registered nurse, says out loud in a hospital